Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of Women of Arabia. Women of Arabia is a platform where we showcase the best women entrepreneurs and women from other walks of life who, with their sheer determination, passion and hard work, they have carved a niche and created their dreams into reality. Today, in conversation with us is the Managing Director and Founder of Acorn Strategy, Midttun. Kate, welcome to Women of Arabia.
Thank you.
So, you are, like I just introduced you are the Managing Director and Founder of Acorn Strategy. What exactly is Acorn Strategy?
Acorn Strategy is a marketing communications consultancy that was set up to help people grow their businesses and make sure that they're making intelligent marketing and communications decisions. And so I set up the company about 8 years ago, and that was off the back of my own experience working in-house and just seeing the amount of money that people were wasting, or people, the misdirection of some marketing and communications activities. That there's really great ways of being able to promote your business or to do things that don't involve billboards on Shakespeare Road and spending millions and millions. And of course, extra budget helps, but I think it's just about doing intelligent things and really being authentic and
right. So what kind of marketing? Is it digital marketing? Is it just online content?
Yeah, so we specialize in marketing and communication strategy, which really covers the online and offline, the traditional, as much as the new media channels as well. So what we're doing when we write our marketing and communication strategy is really understanding the things that are outside of your business's control. So for hotels, for example, that can be a currency fluctuation. So tourists from another country might not decide on coming to the UAE, or it might be something like visa regulations. There's any number of things that are outside of our control as business owners on a daily basis, but being able to turn some of those things into a benefit so that you create an opportunity from it is important, and I think that's really where the intelligence comes in. So then we're defining what those opportunities are, and then aligning them with the vision, mission, and the objectives of the company as well. And then from there, we're able to identify the right target markets and the right activities that make the most of any budget that is available, but also human resource as well. I mean, if you have a large team or a small team, all of those things are taken into consideration.
So is it normally a long-term project that you take on? Like, for example, when you sign up with an organization, you can't do or can you do short-term as well?
I mean, we certainly our preference is to work on longer-term basis. When we're doing a strategy, that usually takes us between 2 and 3 months to write that and really get to know the business, understand. But we're also looking at a 3 to 5 year view when we do that. So those projects are kind of 2 to 3 months. We have clients that are on retainer, and we do those for kind of, that's like a 12-month assignment. But likewise, we've been awarded kind of 2.5 year contracts, or had clients that we've worked with for the last 5 years. So so it's really a combination. And I think being strategy led and having that view to the future and wanting to help build sustained growth, that is really about having longer term projects. But sometimes you need to do the little trial project to make sure people feel comfortable with the results.
Yes. And do you work mostly with large organizations, or do you
actually a real mix? A real mix. So some people are literally just a trade license and a person, and they're like, what do we do? What should I be doing? And we really love that. And I think, being a business owner, I'd want access to that information, or I'd want access to that support. But likewise, we do work with large government entities and international companies as well. Some of our projects aren't in the UAE; they are for global entities that have offices in Europe and the States. And we do this work for them, and then.
Okay. Do you also, like for instance, there are most of these large government organizations, even though they have a marketing division of their own, most of the marketing is outsourced to external organizations. your organization is something which takes on such responsibilities, like on a large scale basis?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, we do work with companies that have, sometimes they have a team of 30 people in marketing, and they'll have several marketing directors that look after different parts.
What do they do then?
Yeah, and I mean, I find that we sometimes get this response from marketing directors themselves. They're like, so if you're writing our strategy, what's my job?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think the thing is, we are highly specialised at writing the strategy. So usually when a marketing director goes in, they might write one strategy that goes, that lasts for three years, and they're doing plans every year, which is great and best practice.
Yeah.
But because they're doing them kind of infrequently, they really don't have that practice to be able to do it very thoroughly, but it also takes a lot of time. It takes us, it will take us, anywhere, kind of 2 full-time weeks to do a very light dive strategy, and then all the way through to months if we're really doing the analysis and the assessment of that data and research, and that the ability to do that is quite specialised as well. So when we're doing it, we're kind of taking that off the plate of the marketing director, and then coming back with best practice. This is what you need to be aware of. These are the indicators in the market. And then this is how it makes a difference to what you're putting out as well. So
portray.
Yeah, and so I mean, when we're working in that situation, it's usually the marketing director has their daily activities, and they have their trying to keep their team on board. Sorry, not on board, but on track, and making sure that all of the activities and the day-to-day work is being done. Strategy really is quite a specialised thing that sometimes needs to be stepped
So
back.
it's just strategy. It's not like doing execution.
We do the doing as well. We do the doing, the implementation. So we have 2 teams: the strategy team and then the implementation. So when you say
team, how many of you are there?
So there's anywhere between 20 and 25 of us in the team, just depending on what's happening at the time. But so breaks down into strategy and then implementation. So our strategy team are very specialised at writing that strategy and going into depth. And we have the implementation team who will almost act as that outsourced marketing and communications department. They do the press release writing, they do the social media posts, they do English and Arabic copywriting, they'll do audits of websites and rewriting, and exactly. So so we do both sides of it.
Well, that's nice. And then you mentioned it's not just the billboards, right? Because right now, it's interesting. Just a couple of days back, I was having this very intense discussion with someone about these are our strategies for a particular project. And the first thing he says, you know what you should do? You should buy one of those billboards. And she excites, if you've got $1 million to throw, and first of all, I don't have $1 million to throw. Second, I don't want to do it. It's just, I just don't want to do it anymore. So what, according to you, is the world or Dubai in general moving to? Because of course the billboards are still going to be there.
Yes, and they're absolutely still relevant in some spaces,
especially in
some ways.
Right? Yeah. I think more in Dubai than in Abu Dhabi.
I think they're effective in both places in their own way, and I think they're really great support for brand campaigns, for example. But they're never going to be the sole provider of a revenue for anyone. So it's
what do you think is the biggest?
Digital obviously is huge and really important. I think making sure that you can be found in search engines, that you have a presence, but also that you add value to people's lives. I think that one-way advertising that used to happen in the 80s, where you tell someone a message and then they buy your things, that doesn't work. So really engaging with people and being authentic and providing value is important.
Because when you look at marketing across the world, here I think in media marketing, radio is more popular here in this region than even your traditional television. Do you agree with me, or is it just a
I think again it really just depends on the product, and the brand, and also what you're trying to achieve as well. If you I guess, just making sure that your objectives are clear from the outset, you'll be able to understand more about what you get off the back of that. But I agree, radio is really effective here, and I think probably more so than some other countries as well.
Yes, I think so.
And there's also great ways to be engaging and to make sure that you're doing things that are effective and high impact on radio without spending a fortune as well.
Yeah, that's true. So have you always been in marketing?
Yes, I have.
So what's your background before you started Acorn?
So I am originally from Australia. I grew up in Brisbane, and that's where I did my degree. I have a degree in marketing and public relations. I worked throughout my degree doing hospitality work, and I always just saw that as a way of support, earning a bit of money while I was doing my degree. Had a lot of fun doing it, and then once I finished, I kind of realized that I can actually do marketing in hotels and hospitality, and so that's really where my passion is. And more recently, extending that into destination development as well. So I grew up in Brisbane, then moved to Canada, had a year there, and then 4 years in London, and then have been here for 10 years.
It's definitely not Aussie anymore, that's it.
No. It depends what day it is, I think. It changes.
So you've moved around the world.
Yeah. So, moved here thinking we'd be here for 4 years, and it's been 10 now, and part of that has just been the great opportunities that there are in this country, and just a lot of fun, and there's just always a new challenge on the horizon that kind of grabs you and makes you want to stay a little bit longer.
But I kind of feel, do you agree that Dubai kind of gives you the best of both worlds?
In terms of family life and so absolutely, and I think I have 3 children. They're 7, 5, and 3, and I definitely I look at friends and family in my own circles, and I see how they how they manage things internationally, and I'm really in awe of everything that they do, but also everything that they kind of have to give up to be able to do one or the other, and I feel very fortunate to be here and to have the support, to be able to have the support to have a family, to run a business, to have the time to spend good quality time with my kids still, and see my husband and all of those things.
So it does give you a very good balance, I guess.
Agreed.
So what made you start Acorn? So you were having a great job, and you said you were working in Yas?
Yes, on Yas Island. So I launched one of the hotels there so there were 7 hotels that launched at the same time, and launched it for the first Grand Prix that happened. So that was 9 years ago, and a great job, and it was a lot of fun. I think anyone that works in hotels and hospitality will tell you how stressful and how long the hours are, and that it's quite taxing, but it's also very rewarding in some ways. So so I was doing that, but just really saw quite a big gap in terms of what I needed in in-house support, by being a client of multiple agencies, and that requirement to have an agency that can actually help beyond a singular kind of skill. So, for example, we had a PR agency, media buy agency, digital agency, graphics designer, all these people, and just managing lots of components. And I think, from my own experience, saw that a lot of colleagues or peers in other businesses were struggling with the same thing, but just trying to coordinate all of the moving parts, and it was quite cumbersome. And I think just through seeing with the gap, and also the level of delivery and intelligence behind the thinking and execution, just thought there was quite a gap. So so started Acorn 8 years ago, and haven't looked back.
And when you started, what was the whole? Did you have anyone to discuss this with? Did you obviously? But you were married at that point.
Yes, I was. Yeah. So my husband was very supportive of it, and I think at the time as well, part of the decision was there were a lot of a lot of job freezes happening at the time. I think that was in 2010, late 2010, and there wasn't anything around that particularly excited me, but I also had some discussions with people who were looking for some freelance support, and so really just started off by myself. I mean, it wasn't some grand production or a big office opening or anything like that. I started out as a freelancer, and then as time went along.
And did you have to quit your job?
Yeah,
you did.
Yeah.
How scary was it?
I think I didn't do any freelance work while I was working. You just don't get time to do that when you work in retail.
Yeah, that too.
But previously, when I worked in the UK or worked in Canada and Australia, I was kind of doing freelance roles and doing the kind of marketing strategy and planning stuff. And so I knew that I had the drive to do it, and I had the passion to do it, and I also had enough contacts at that point to knock on the doors and have the discussions and start off slowly and then and go from there. And I just gave myself a time frame of like, this is what I want to achieve within the first year, and then took it slowly from there. Yeah, and at the same time, I also started doing my MBA, and so it was kind of, it was a bit of balancing. I was doing. Was able to kind of combine the MBA and
Did you MBA here or was it remote?
I did it through Warwick Business School in the UK. It's a distance learning mode where it was.
Was it also in marketing or?
I did it specializing, so it was a general MBA, but I did my dissertation based on adapting marketing frameworks for use in destinations. Entirely glamorous, but it was it was really interesting, and just I enjoyed doing it, and it was great to be able to have the flexible work alongside the MBA, and of course had some kids along the way as well. So, I think in the UAE in particular, it's difficult to find the right work that really inspires you while you're having kids, or when you need a bit of flexibility as well.
It's very limited, would you think? Is it?
Certainly, I think it's probably evolved over the last kind of 10
quite
years.
A lot,
But I saw it as quite limiting. Certainly,
I grew up here, so I know from the time when we grew up to now, it's changed. It's changed completely. I can say that, because initially it was just a trading zone or just for petroleum, but now the opportunity, especially for women, I see a lot of women just coming out and blossoming. And, which is amazing. Like they just start with, like you said, it might be just one person who starts it. And how many do you have in your team now? How many in your office?
About 20.
20, that's amazing.
So but I think it has to start from a place of something that you're passionate about, and then for me it was great because it meant that I could take the time off that I wanted while having babies, and of course that's it's not like I was getting maternity leave payment or anything like that, but it was it's about the balance and really doing what's what you need to do, both financially but emotionally, and making those decisions. And so for me it was really just a great way of taking on projects that advanced my career, that I really enjoyed, and things that I could really get stuck into as well.
And do you have the liberty to choose the kind of projects that you want to work on, or organizations do you want to work on?
There's been a lot of learning. I think over the last 8 years of kind of evolving and understanding how things work in the business space here and internationally, I think what I have realized is that if you don't really, if you're not really passionate about the project, then you probably shouldn't take it on, because it just, it does drain energy and resource, and you kind of end up just, you're going to be much more successful at projects that you're really passionate about. So in that way, we try and focus on projects that are in hospitality, leisure, destinations. We do a bit in healthcare and education. We also like to help small businesses as well. So, I mean, that's really where we try and focus. And of course, there's things that come up that we just love and want to be involved in. And there's a natural extension from the work that we're already doing to go into those areas. But like largely, we don't do a lot of B2B work, for example. And, you know, it's a lot of the team members come from that hospitality and leisure background. And so we try and stick within those parameters, just so we can make sure we're doing things that grow on our own knowledge, but we're all very passionate about and want to do.
Of course, once in a while something can come and pique your interest, and you can always go ahead.
Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not rules so much; it's just guidelines.
Have you come across? Probably it would start with something, but then it would get stretched, and at the end, for example, it would be something completely different.
Do you mean in terms of like a project scope might kind of creep a lot? Yes.
That's exactly what I meant.
I think part of the experience, the benefit of having 8 years is that we've gotten very good at defining where those things might happen, but also making it very clear where, what we actually deliver and what is included in the contract and things like that. And that's, even in terms of the client, that really benefits them. They know exactly what they're getting, and there's no, misunderstanding of expectations. And of course, we do everything that we can to keep the clients happy, but it also, commercially and just in terms of common sense, it has to stack up.
Right, that's true. So, you're based out of Abu Dhabi. Your organization is
we have offices in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Perth in Australia, and we have someone in London as well.
Oh, that's nice. Yes. And where exactly in Abu Dhabi? 254, I believe, right? Yeah. And if you were back in Australia or UK, how different would it have been for you to set up a similar organization? Would it have been easy or difficult?
Yeah, it's an interesting question actually, because I think, I don't know, I mean, there are certain things that, about being in the UAE that just created a really great opportunity in this instance. And I think definitely the level of support that we get here, or, the different options that you have here for, having choices around career and kids and all the rest of it. I think that certainly made it a lot easier in terms of the actual business regulation and setup. I don't know. I think there's pluses and minuses everywhere.
Is it too restrictive, would you say?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think in some ways it's really easy. In other ways, it's hard. I mean, not having corporate tax or anything like that, it certainly reduces some of the administrative burden and makes it a bit easier to just have a go. But then we have the freelance licenses and visas and all of that. So I don't know. I mean, I really, I hear a lot of complaints or or even people who are overly positive about being here. For me, it's all the same. It's just different, different barriers or different opportunities that are created in each of the markets. And I think certainly, well, I'm not sure I would have set up a company in the same situation if I was in Australia or the UK. That's the only thing. I guess that's the
you wouldn't have been able to.
I don't think I would have been able to. I think certainly there's been I think like I said before, I think there's just been some great opportunities in the market, or great conditions and factors that have just made it it was the right thing to do at the right time. And I'm not sure I could replicate that exact opportunity in Australia or the UK. But having said that, we have opened an office in Australia in this year, and things are going really well there. So that's fantastic. But
and when you say we, it's just you.
Well, so it's my company. Well, so one of the girls that worked here with us for 4 years, Annabelle, and she moved back to Australia, and so she's the general manager of the Australian office. So it is we. So she's putting a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it as well. But yes, ultimately, it's my company.
Okay, fine. Does your husband help you in In your business, what does he do?
So he's a marine engineer, and I would say that's probably about as far away from marketing as you could be.
Exactly.
So no, I mean, yeah, he doesn't really get too involved, but obviously, a great support for me. So.
But he's been there when you really wanted to make that career change. And
Absolutely.
Yeah,
incredibly supportive, and I couldn't ask for anything more. I have to say I'm very fortunate. I'm very, very hands-on, and he's not afraid to cook dinner, and is not, he's. I go on business trips for a week or two, and he looks after the kids, and there's no issues there. So I think, probably my biggest tip would be, marry someone that is a great supporter and an equal, and that means different things in different situations.
Right.
So for me, I owe a lot to my husband for the support and for everything that he does as well. But I think
in general for
women,
what do you suggest? What does your advice?
I think talking openly and honestly about the challenges or when you're going through a difficult time in the business, or talking about the realities and things like cash flow is very difficult in this country, and sometimes it's difficult to get bills paid, or to there are different challenges, and I think the more that we all speak openly about what those things are, the better for everyone. I think actually I was at a really great conference earlier this year. It was run by the Network One, which is for independent agencies, and so I went to that event, and I remember there's a lady who runs a global independent agency, and she kind of started it by herself and brought on a business partner later, but she was talking about the need to just collaborate unselfishly and fearlessly, and I think that's something that I really took away and has made a big difference to the way that I've done business this year. I think really supporting people and not judging people, or being very supportive of each other and each other's goals is really important, because by lifting each other up, we all, everyone wins.
Everyone wins. Not just, I don't think it's just, on an emotional level, but even eventually it will all add up. There will be something that would be of benefit. Being as selfless as possible.
Yeah.
And it's all about connecting with each other and networking. Do you do a lot of networking?
A little bit. As an introvert, I don't really enjoy networking, but I definitely make sure that I'm in situations, where we're talking to new people, and I think that's really important, not just for growing business or meeting someone that you might have do a project for or work for. It's really
building
understanding
building
connections and understanding what's happening outside of your own bubble, and really seeing what the bigger picture is as well.
Yeah, it is, because of late, obviously networking is a big thing. Another pinch that I've heard from most women, most of the wonderful small, medium, or mompreneurs, let's just put them like that, is marketing, because for them, most of them say that after they are done with, let's say, the license fees and then start with their organization, they really don't have enough left over to market their products. But marketing is super important. What would you suggest those ladies or those people do? What would you?
I think it comes down to just understanding how you add value to people's lives through your product or service. So really making sure you understand what you deliver to the market and where your value is, and then just being authentic in the way that you deliver it to market. So whether or not it's creating a series of videos where you're talking about your product and you put that out through social media. Things like that, where you're genuinely displaying your passion for what you do. You're able to get across the message. It's really just breaking it down.
And of late, it's become a bit more easier, because, like you said, with social media, I think it's a bit more easier to actually share, and it's not that difficult, right? Not as it was before.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. It's made it a lot easier to get to market, because you don't have to save up for a billboard to put it on the road. But it also, it's a little bit fragmented as well. And what we see is that different nationalities and different age groups are on different channels as well. So then trying to trying to tweet 5 times a day and post on Facebook 2 times a day. All of these rules, I think.
What would you say is the ideal number of times one should post on Instagram? Thrice a day, twice a day, once a day, every day, every alternate day? What is the equation?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there'll always be different rules and different. Everyone will have a different opinion on it. But I think, like, if you, I don't know if you follow Gary Vaynerchuk, but I think his rule, well, it's not even a rule. It's just like, if you have something authentic to say, and if you have something that it really adds value to someone, then just say it. Don't wait for someone else to cue for you to do it. Just go out and do it. Make sure that you're doing things that people want to see, and it really does genuinely add value. And it's not about algorithms, and it's not about how to cheat the system or get. Of course, you want to have the exposure, but as long as you're doing something that is genuine and adds value, then you're going to get results from it anyway.
Yeah,
so I think for me, that would be, try not to think. I think you can overthink things so much and just be worried about it's 3 o'clock on a Tuesday and I missed the post
that I was supposed to do and all that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Is that what you say if your content is?
You can certainly optimize it. I'm not saying that. I think it's just, if you're starting from nothing, then just do things that make sense. And it could be that you go to a meeting and someone is asking, people are asking the same question every time you go in. Do a video about that. And then it's not to say that they shouldn't be talking to you, but just, take a video about it, put it out to people, so then, there's a greater understanding of what that thing is, and, every bit helps, I think.
Right. And what have you got to say about the recent change in laws in terms of more freelance, the freelance visas that's been come into play, also about the social media influencers license, and how has it changed? Has it affected your organization on any your field of work?
Well, I think they're both quite different things, like the freelance visas and having more access for people to work and to do things they love. I think that's great. I think I think it's the more the merrier. It's not like we're in a saturated market as far as freelancers or SMEs go, and there's certainly more opportunity, and there's bigger. We can grow the pie bigger, and so I am all for it, and I think it's a great thing. In terms of the influencers, if I'm honest, I don't really have an opinion about it. It is just what it is, and it has changed the way that we do work, and there's other implications to it, and making sure that we're doing it legally, and making sure that we're helping our clients understand that.
But that has become a huge rage of late, right? The whole social media influencers, the it thing now. Do you get a lot of that?
We do. We certainly have. We work with influencers and we recommend different people to our clients, and obviously that depends on budget and just the connection as well. How relevant the influencer is to the product or service. It just gives you another channel of demonstrating, being authentic in the marketplace. And I think the question is, how authentic is that if it's actually paid for? I think as long as you're aligning your product with the influencer, and there is a combined set of values between what they promote and what you promote, then I think there's authenticity in that. So for me, it just gives another layer of promotion, and I guess an extra way of being able to go out and demonstrate value to people as well. I don't think we'll ever be in a place where it's only influencers or it's only advertising.
But does it irk you?
I think the market has changed, and it's
we have to move with the
Blockbuster saying that I don't like. Why should I provide things digitally? And things change, and you have to go with the way the market moves. And certainly, if it was something that was unethical or it was. You have to put your foot down sometimes, but the influencers, I think, there is a value to it, and people are watching them, and people are consuming their content. It's just another channel.
Yeah, it's just another channel at the end of the day, truly. Where do you see Acorn, let's say, another 2 years, 5 years? What's your vision?
Yeah, so we're big advocates of what's happening with Expo at the moment, and we like to work on a few pavilions around Expo. That's certainly a goal of ours, and ideally that's made up of a couple of countries and maybe a company as well. So we've got our eyes firmly planted on that. I think there's a lot to be done, for UAE as a nation, but also a lot of stimulus that will come off the back of that as well. So very excited about that. I think it's really about consolidating Australia and bringing on more people in Australia and growing the office there as well. So yeah, we've got a pretty clear idea.
It's so interesting because when you say all this and you keep saying we've got that, I know that. So what was your motivation? What drives you every day to go ahead and come out with all these ideas and these strategies? Is it just because I know a team does the whole thing, obviously execution and everything, but it has to be born in your head at some point or the other, right?
Yeah, true.
So what's your constant source of motivation or inspiration?
Good question. I think stops me a little bit. I think so. I love the strategy component of it, and really just thinking about how do we help people to grow their businesses, and how do we help them to do the next best thing, and I think just challenging and growing and learning new things within marketing is really exciting for me.
You abreast of what's happening, and you try and see how you can, as Acorn, try and seize the opportunity. Lots of freelancers out there doing marketing strategies and everything, but then they wouldn't know. They would probably get a one-off job or a one-off project, but then they wouldn't know how to build up and scale up from there on.
Yeah.
So what is it that you're doing different? That's clearly working. So if it's that piece of advice.
You know what? I think it's also a very good question. I think in terms of what we're doing differently, we're always just pushing to do something better than we did the time before, and so I think we're always learning, and that's a big part of what we do in the agency as well, and giving people the ability to do extra learning and to feed back to the team as well, and just nurture that talent, so that we're always kind of thinking about what's next, not what happened last year. It's about continuously improving and providing more value every time as well, making sure that we're delivering something that is really meaningful.
And also a good support system that you've built over the years, right? So it's a community also at the end of the day, right? That they do support each other, and that constant support also helps. Repeat clients, constant support to seize the right opportunities. These are probably things that one should do, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, as I've gone on having 10 years here, I have the people that I call, and the people that I call for help on what do I do around creating this process, or who's the best accountant, or there's the people that you go to for help, or just to get that real pulse on what's really happening. I think what I struggled with for the first few years was people were just so like, oh, everything is so amazing, we've got all these contracts and everything is wonderful, and you're like, actually I'm having a really bad week, or I had a really bad run of events over the last couple of months, and you just kind of having people that will tell you the truth, or people who will give you that real indication of how they're doing, but also
reality check.
Yeah, exactly. But you can also share your highs and lows with as well, but in a real space. It's not about telling people it's great just because
I know, and that's the thing which I do have an issue with. Sometimes some people just portray the good things, and you just don't want to portray the bad. But for someone else who's going to start up, they would think they're doing something wrong if they don't.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think when people are glossing over things or trying to portray everything as being all roses, and it's not. It's very hard work.
So it's always better to be as honest
and real
as possible. Right,
Yeah.
and clearly worked for you. It's been
Well,
8 years.
so far.
It's got great vision, and I'm so grateful that you've been part of Women of Arabia.
Oh,
The
so
story is
grateful.
inspiring. How you've grown your organization from just being you
Yeah.
to a wonderful team and expanding. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being part of Women of Arabia, and wishing you all the best. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.